So the producer Pierre Bowens, right? Pierre Bowens. He started working with Carti early on, right? Made one of the best songs ever. Magnolia, Lean for Real. I think he did Poke It Out. He did Right Now, of course. He did RP Fredo. He did a lot, okay? He did a lot, man. And now we have Filthy. Filthy to go. You know, we love Filthy, but we wonder why. Well, we don't know if Carti really did cut off Pierre, but why don't we have like any music with them anymore? And this is what this video is about. Like, oh, I forgot, he did do RP too.
Playboi Carti and Pierre Bourne were once the hottest duo in hip-hop. However, fast forward to today, and not only have they not worked together in over 5 years, but now Carti's new album, Music, just became the first project of his career without a single beat produced by Pierre. In addition to this new snippet, basically confirming that their run is over, and that Pierre has been replaced by guys like KP and Filthy. Just 2 weeks ago, when a fan also sent this DM begging him to reunite with Carti. Trust me when I say this, Pierre typed back, "I've been trying for years." So, what actually happened between Carti and Pierre?
And then,
importantly, will they ever work together again? I thought I had Pierre, but the label tricked me, Carti rapped back in 2020. But despite missing out on signing Pierre Bourne to his Opium record label, telling Complex, quote, "I slept on the decision, but when I woke up, he was signed to a major label." This definitely didn't stop Carti and Pierre, though, from not only shifting the sound of rap music, with even their unreleased leaks going #1, but also at the same time, forming a very close friendship.
Since 2017, before Carti's album, the self-titled Playboi Carti album, before that, music didn't sound the way it sounds now. Like, it's proof, like this. It was like Magnolia and Woke Up Like This, created like a ripple effect in the world, and everyone just copied after. Let me do the last verse.
With literally hours of footage together, it's obvious that their relationship went much deeper than just platinum records. However, although this also makes their fallout and recent absence from each other even more of a mystery, in order to fully understand, first we have to go back to the beginning. Never in his wildest dreams could he have guessed that a random beat he made in the back of an Uber on the way to Zaxby's would turn into Pierre Bourne's double platinum breakout hit. But how the instrumental for Woke Up Like This got to Carti was even crazier.
Like, I heard Carti, I just didn't know that he did my beat until after the fact. It was on the internet. It was like academics post. And I was going to the studio and I seen K Supreme, and K Supreme told me, "Yo, Carti did your beat." I gave him the beat. I was just like, I got mad. I was like, what the? Cause like, I be big on communication.
Back in 2017, Pierre Bourne had just made the tough decision to quit his engineering job with Epic Records in Atlanta. Having landed the gig through some connections to friends, it was instead a different connection though with K Supreme, who you may know as Lil Yachty's close associate, which changed Pierre's life forever. At the same time, this snippet video here of Carti playing Woke Up Like This blew up all over the internet, was also the moment Pierre realized his beat, which was intended for K Supreme, had instead found its way to Playboi Carti. And not just him, but also Lil Uzi Vert. With these two snippets going viral, the song was then released as an official single on SoundCloud. The first ever collab between Carti and Pierre. However, unless you were to look at the production credits, you wouldn't know. "I'm looking like, damn, I wish they would have put produced by Pierre or something," he said. Like, yo, that shit's crazy, that's my beat. Yet, in addition to receiving no credit on SoundCloud, Woke Up Like This also does not include a single producer tag throughout the 4-minute track. Thus, when the time then came to work on their next Billboard charting smash, Magnolia, only a few weeks later, Pierre was careful not to make this same mistake.
And I was recording them this time, right? So I was like, yep, put my tag all on this. Hell nah, I was like, y'all ain't gonna do me like Woke Up Like This. I wasn't there. I never got to send in the full beat. That's just a loop.
Rather than Playboi Carti's voice or any type of instrument, the first thing that you hear when you press play on what is still the 4th most streamed song of Carti's career is instead Jamie Foxx, sampled from the old Jamie Foxx show, which would quickly become Pierre Bourne's iconic tag.
Yo, Pierre, come here.
Come out here.
But while Pierre had already started to gain a little attention thanks to his work with another Atlanta rapper, Young Nudie, following the release of Carti's self-titled mixtape in April of 2017 though, nothing was ever the same. a classic from that 2017 SoundCloud era. In addition to the 2 viral hits, Magnolia and Woke Up Like This featuring Uzi, Pierre Bourne would also land 4 other credits on Carti's debut. But yet, 2017 was just getting started. At this point, more motivated than ever, cranking out 10 beats a day for 3 months straight, Pierre honestly looked unstoppable, linking up for more hits with guys like Trippie Redd, Nav, and Lil Uzi Vert, as well as 6ix9ine. However, despite 6ix9ine's Gummo track, produced by Pierre, becoming one of the hottest songs of 2017, and one of the best beats, currently sitting at 500 million views just on YouTube, if you ask Pierre Bourne though, he would take it all back in an instant.
I never wanted to have anything to do with that song just because of how they went about releasing it. It was very disrespectful, very like, you, basically. And it's like, I didn't want the money.
F that Gummo song, all y'all doing weird shit, some ops, I swear, read this post by Pierre. No more Trippie and Pierre, y'all ruined it. Upset that his beat for Gummo unfortunately got sent to 6ix9ine by Trippie Redd without his approval. Meanwhile though, in the case of Tory Lanez, another rapper who wanted a beat from Pierre, despite getting denied, at least Tory reached out. Yo, Tory Lanez wanted to know if he could use the Magnolia instrumental for a remix, and if you could send it to him, came this text message that Pierre shared. Can't do it, he typed back. Regardless of Pierre's denial, Tory Lanez still went on to drop a Magnolia remix, yet combined with the majority of fans calling it trash, also came this response from Carti and Pierre.
Your size, we don't do that remix shit, don't remix my shit.
Once more spotted in the studio, Carti and Pierre were locked in almost every day. So, you're probably thinking, how did everything fall apart so fast then?
Yeah.
And why will Playboi Carti no longer respond to Pierre? Well, to keep their momentum rolling, Uzi and Carti and Uzi tape arrived this tweet by Carti out of nowhere, as again, 2 of the biggest breakout rappers at the time. With the title 1629 and reference to both artists' neighborhoods. And then, to complete the Dream Team trio, Pierre Bourne was also set to handle the majority of 1629's production. How do we know? Simply look no further than the multiple leaks from this era, including Break the Bank, Big Bank, and Throw It Up to name a few, all produced by Pierre. Yet, unfortunately, along with the 1629 tour getting cancelled soon after it was announced, due to Uzi claiming, quote, he needed to focus, as a result, this collab album would sadly get scrapped too, robbing us fans of a potential classic.
If I could drop a collab album right now, I'd probably drop. The first collab album I want to drop is 1629.
That's you and Carti, right?
You tell me.
But before the year of 2017 was finished though, Pierre Bourne still had one more big move up his sleeve. In September, it was announced that he had officially signed his first ever record contract with Interscope, but instead of a producer, as a rapper. In addition to making beats, Pierre Bourne has also been a rapper himself, ever since he formed a rap group with his friends back in high school called The Bourne Ones. And not only was his hard work paying off, signing to a major label now, but the news also came that Pierre was launching his own record imprint too, called Sauce House, with this logo right here. Now, you're probably wondering how things could possibly get better than this for Pierre Bourne. However, prior to getting left off of Carti's latest album for the first time in history, 2018 though was somehow even bigger for Pierre. Although 1629 got shelved, when the time then came for Playboi Carti's debut studio album, this was essentially a Carti and Pierre collaboration. In my opinion, what remains Playboi Carti's best project to date, dropped as a surprise in 2018. Literally, of the 19 total tracks that we hear on Die Lit, 15 of them feature production by Pierre Bourne.
And Die Lit definitely has some T-Lop 4 beats on there.
So it's stuff that you already recorded too?
Yeah, like where my album was, where at that time where I was like, all right, it's done, these are the songs for it. I might have played a beat and he'd be like, nah, I want to do that one. And in my mind, I'm like, damn, that's one of the songs on the album. But yeah, I'll just do another song because we gotta keep this shit going.
Right.
As Pierre told Genius, he was willing to sacrifice multiple songs that were originally meant for his own album in order for Carti to use them on Die Lit. But besides his beats turning into hits such as Fell in Love, R.I.P., and Love Hurts featuring Travis Scott, Die Lit would also mark the album that first introduced Pierre Bourne to the mainstream as an artist, with Carti letting him have a verse on track 7 right now.
Started making beats for myself first.
To rap on, okay.
Yes,
Gotcha.
and I moved to Atlanta to engineer for myself first. He called me and said, I didn't know you rap. I was like, you ain't tell me to play you my rap song when I pull it up. You say you want to play some beats.
Right, no, I got that.
I would have rapped on the first album, but I said, nah, I kind of like this shit. I might blow up as a producer, be one of the biggest producers in the world. Let's do it. Let's run it up.
Although, in my opinion, Pierre is definitely better as a producer than as a rapper, it was still cool to see him try and branch out. Continuing on to then cook up with more superstars such as Kanye West, working on tracks including Yikes off of his 2018 album Ye, before winning his first Grammy ever for his production with Kanye on Jesus is King, not to mention also producing the underrated Travis Scott single titled Watch, and another leaked Carti grill, Cancun, in 2018, which went viral all over social media.
By
2019, Pierre Bourne was one of the most popular producers in the entire industry, and for good reason. Locking in next on his own debut album, The Life of Pierre 4, a series named after Kanye's Life of Pablo, while of course still making sure not to stop his growing list of mainstream hits. Placing 4 credits on Eternal Take with Uzi, a beat for Juice WRLD's Bad Boy that was released later on. Before then, at least as it initially seemed, production all over Whole Lotta Red.
I just got some money, so you know what I mean? I try and drop my shit in the next 60 days.
As 2020 rolled around, so did the highly anticipated release of Playboi Carti's second album. However, before transforming into this crazy, energetic rage sound that we all know it as today, at first, Whole Lotta Red was a totally different album. Instead of these new producers such as Wake Up Filthy, Starboy, Outta Town, and Art Dealer,
Wake Up Filthy.
To continue their unstoppable hot streak, Carti's very first version of Whole Lotta Red was set to be filled with Pierre Bourne beats, and to prove this, combined with these tweets by Pierre himself teasing the album, which, as we're about to see though, would be the opposite of how he felt in these posts after getting left off. But just prior to the album's release, Playboi Carti was hit with another massive wave of leaks, forming what fans know today as Whole Lotta Red V1. All of these songs that we were getting to hear from this era, including Neon, Molly, and Pissy Pamper, aka Kid Cudi, were literal proof that the combination of Carti's soft V1 baby voice over Pierre Bourne's mesmerizing production is the perfect formula for viral bangers.
Yeah. When I first heard this shit, I'm like, man, what the fucking Carti talking about, man? This nigga sound like a whole damn, that's what I said. I said he sound like a goddamn baby. So I had to just keep listening to it. I had to goddamn stick my ear to the damn song and hear what the fuck he was saying and shit, you feel what I'm saying? Once I heard it, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, it kind of fact, it sound kind of, you feel what I'm saying? Like different type shit.
In fact, To Certify itself is one of the most legendary leaked songs ever. Over 5 years ago, back in 2019, a fan upload of the Pissy Pamper snippet, also featuring Young Nudie, would actually reach the #1 spot on Spotify as some random upload.
Do you guys think Pissy Pamper is the best leak to ever hit the internet?
Shit, yeah, I'm with, yeah.
With all these unreleased leaks blowing up and fans knowing every lyric by heart, it made sense why this was what we were expecting the final Whole Lotta Red album to sound like. However, while these surface songs would also keep delaying it even longer, as we finally crept closer to the album's Christmas Day drop, it was obvious that everything was changing. But what did this mean for Pierre?
What I said earlier, I don't have a lot of rapper friends, but I have hundreds of producer friends.
Yeah, right.
That's who I keep. It's not even me taking my time and saying, oh, I'm gonna wait a year to drop my shit. I'm with a different producer every day. And it's like, damn, I'm like, damn, this is the sound right here.
With Playboi Carti, quote, working with a new producer every day at this point. As 2020 went on, this was when Whole Lotta Red V2 took formation. In the spring, we did get a new single called At Me, not produced by Pierre, but rather Jetson made. Before then, in May, a new Carti feature with Drake, with production by Pierre Bourne, titled Pain 1993, in reference to their friend Ian Connor. Although there is also a leaked version out there with him doing a more normal voice. According to these text messages between Drake and Ian Connor, it was actually Ian who didn't like Carti's OG voice and asked him to redo it using his baby voice. Pain 1993 debuted at #7, surprisingly marking the first Billboard Top 10 entry of Carti's career. However, while the world was starting to warm up to this new baby voice, after later going live on his Instagram right before his album's release, previewing multiple snippets like Stop Breathing and showing off his bright red hair, combined with the news too that Kanye West was now executive producing the project, fans no longer had any idea what to expect.
Crazy watching all my moves. My bitch say I dress real nice, dress cool. If Rick don't cut you a check, you better sue.
When Whole Lotta Red finally released on Christmas of 2020, rather than the original V1 version, Carti's sophomore album would only include 2 beats produced by Pierre Bourne, I Love You, I Hate You, and Place, an old leak which Carti decided to throw on the track list, just with now a weird 5-second break in the beat's intro. In addition to the very mixed reaction from fans after its release, such as the hashtag #WholeLottaMid trending Christmas morning, while not exactly saying any words, these two tweets were then posted by Pierre on December 25th, appearing to be sad since he was barely featured on the final track list. However, at least at first, Pierre tried to remain optimistic. "Me and Carti got way more music though," said Pierre, downplaying his notable decrease on Whole Lotta Red. "We locked in the majority of last year, so him just putting those 2 songs on the album, he's just playing with the world. He's holding on to all the music we got." If he thought Carti was holding on to their music back then though, as we're about to see in a sec, his new album has 0 Pierre songs. But following Whole Lotta Red, the only other Pierre and Carti release was Switching Lanes, another old track they had recorded and leaked back in 2019, before finally placed on the Life of Pierre 5. Which, as it turns out, besides Carti not promoting this song or the project at all, leading some to think this upset Pierre, the Life of Pierre 5 was also supposed to feature a verse from Drake. "My biggest regret is not finishing the last 2 bars on Drunk and Nasty," Drake commented on Instagram. Which, yo guys, real quick, speaking of Instagram, I'm really trying to grow over there too, so if you don't mind dropping me a follow and staying up to date on when my videos are posting. But what easily would have been Pierre Bourne's biggest look as a rapper in the mainstream was released before Drake could finish his verse. Just like another song too by Pierre, titled Poof.
Yeah, look, we had him on Poof. We had that man on Drunk and Nasty. You'll never hear it. But shout out to OVO, man. Drake just dropped. Make sure y'all go check that shit out.
Laughing like he didn't just fumble potentially 2 of his biggest hits. With Pierre's decision though to focus on his own album and improve as an artist, this left fans unsure of the future. And only a short time later, Pierre would then say this about his relationship with Playboi Carti.
"We don't even be around each other like that no more." I don't know. I think after I started trying to finish my album, I just got so consumed in that became my real focus again. But not saying that I stopped producing for him, because I always send beats, always send beats. But I noticed I don't have to physically be there.
Admitting that the two aren't as close anymore as they used to be. Although he was still sending him beats, it was clear that by hearing everything Carti was releasing, Carti's sound was distancing even further from Pierre's. One thing you definitely have to give Playboi Carti credit for is that he's always looking for ways to evolve and not stay stagnant. And with this rage-inspired release honestly influencing an entire new generation of rappers, including Yeet, who has even used Whole Lotta Red Playboi Carti YouTube-type beats for some of his biggest hits, which I've covered in another video. However, while up to this point things still appeared okay, 2021 was when the disses started flying. "Would you ever want to be on a Pierre beat?" one fan asked Ken Carson on Twitter, to which the Opium artist then typed back, "Nope. That dude told me I wasn't on the same level as him. Ever since that day, I've been going up. No beef, but I just wouldn't feel comfortable working with him." Although we're about to learn in a sec that this is now a lie, as the two have seemingly made up, besides this interaction as well on Instagram, going back and forth about who actually started wearing what shoes first, and Pierre saying Ken is really his son. Only a month later though, came what many saw as a sneak diss from Carti himself. On April 2nd, 2021, Pierre Bourne released a new music video for his song, For You. However, only a few hours later on this same day, Playboi Carti then decided to release the new music video for his hit song, Sky, with no prior announcement. Considering that Whole Lotta Red had dropped over 4 months ago in December, for Carti to post on the exact same day as Pierre, who shares a similar audience, was indeed a little strange. But was Carti really trying to overshadow Pierre on purpose? No. Well, if you ask Pierre himself, "Bro really don't want to see me glow, this shit written." Claiming that Carti doesn't want to see him win, although fans were still left with little answers, the Opium disses did not stop there.
What you want the public to call you, like Opium J?
You can call me J.
Yeah?
J, but Opium Baby too. It's my art handle. Opium Baby.
Yeah.
Following some shade by Opium Baby, who is Playboi Carti's close friend and co-founder of the Opium label, after he threw some shade towards A$AP Rocky for allegedly leaking one of their songs, Pierre Bourne was quick to jump into the conversation. Don't bite the hand that feeds you, essentially telling them not to be mad at A$AP Rocky, who has played a huge part in Carti's entire career. Pierre too, Opium Baby tweeted back, "I had to beg bro to let you in the studio. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. I just seen you in New York in the studio and I tried to glue this shit back together for you. Bro ain't checking for you, boy." claiming that Opium Baby was the one who had to beg Carti to let Pierre back in the studio one night, cause he quote, ain't checking for him no more. This only fueled the rumors that the iconic duo of Playboi Carti and Pierre was truly finished forever.
I'm talking about some y'all miss Uzi and Carti. Man, I miss Pierre and Carti, man. It was just a great time to be around, bro. Without Pierre, self-titled and Die Lit wouldn't even be a thing. Anytime you heard them arcadey, bouncy type of beats and then you hear, yo, Pierre, you wanna come on? You knew it was finna be it. Like, I'm really sitting here, I'm like, bro, where would Carti be without Pierre? He's the whole reason that Carti is lit right now. Think about it, when Pissy Pamper blew up, who was that produced by? All those leaks and unreleased songs. Oh my, bro, he only had 2 songs produced on Whole Lotta Red, and bro, I Love You, I Hate You was the best one.
Yet, although at this point the stars of Opium appeared to want nothing to do with Pierre Bourne or his beats, a year later in 2023, we actually saw Pierre link up with the Opium duo known as Homicide Gang for a collab. And despite them being the least popular members of the crew, this gave fans at least a little hope that maybe one day Pierre and Carti could work together again. So has that day ever come? Well, unknown to many fans, since it was the much bigger rapper Yeet who was spotted in the same club as Carti one night in Paris. And while I've also made a video diving into their strange history, what was far less reported that night was Pierre Bourne also being in that same club too. However, after reading his tweet about being in the middle of the crowd and hiding like Homer Simpson, this left fans confused. Was this Pierre saying that he was trying not to be seen by Carti? Or, considering they were only a few feet away from each other, had he finally reconnected in person with his bro? Still to this day, unless you were there, we don't know what went down at this club that night. Yet, only a few months later though, in October of 2024, in an attempt to put some of the rumors to rest, Pierre Bourne took to his Instagram with 1 million followers to say this about Carti.
Alright, y'all gotta stop the bullshit with the Carti shit, man. We locked in for life. What's wrong with y'all niggas, man? That's all I'm gonna say.
Claiming that they were still locked in for life and there was no real beef. But combined with the fact that this was before I Am Music was released, and considering that Pierre said this while facing a solo blunt, it remained unknown how Carti actually felt about Pierre. And as the year of 2025 got underway, with every fan hoping and dreaming to hear at the minimum one Pierre beat on I Am Music, Pierre went 0 for 30. When you compare his work with Carti over the years, it's even more surprising to see that 0 stick out next to his latest. However, what made fans then turn confused though, was seeing this post on Playboi Carti's story, just days after the album released, sharing with us a DM from Pierre, congratulating him on the new project, continue inspiring and putting smiles on so many faces, to which Pierre also reposted on his story and added these 2 emojis, including the infinity symbol. Yet, despite Carti also typing at Pierre Bourne 4L, as other fans point out, this is like when you text your ex happy birthday. His first time acknowledging Pierre in like 4 years. Now, whether this interaction was truly genuine or simply for show is up for you to decide. But only a month later in April, after fans noticed that Pierre had liked this picture of Ken Carson, speculation started swirling that Pierre and Ken may have possibly made amends to their past beef. And soon reposting this album promo, to much surprise, included on Ken Carson's 2025 album More Chaos, at track number 21 is Ghoul, with a super spooky beat produced by Pierre Bourne.
Oh, such a good song.
Seeing Pierre work with Ken for the first time felt like a big step in the right direction. However, just a few weeks ago though, back in the beginning of September, a fan had sent this DM to Pierre saying we need him back in the lab with Carti, to which Pierre replied, trust me when I say this bro, but I've been trying for years.
Yo, Pierre just said he been trying to get in the studio with Playboi Carti for years. Like, I'm pretty sure we all know that Carti
like the
did
main
move
source
on
or
and
something.
elevate
He
his
said,
sound to something completely different. I don't think we're going to get this duo ever again. Pierre probably do be sending him beats here and there or whatever, but they haven't been to the stew in years. And Pierre's just making it clear. I think we all pretty much know how this is going to play out.
While the answer to why Playboi Carti does anything is always a mystery every single time, I think this quote from his interview with Kid Cudi is actually our best evidence to point to. When asked the motivation behind his decision to work with a total of 23 producers on Whole Lotta Red, you got rappers who like being around rappers, and then you got rappers like me who like being around producers. I'm always looking for that new sound, Carti said. I'm a producer head, that's what I love. Adding, I'm never stuck on one producer either. I ain't never dropping an album without popping a new producer. So, although yes, there has likely been more that went down behind the scenes, aside from their petty back and forth moments that we just learned, the truth is, Playboi Carti has seemed to simply just move on from Pierre Bourne and his beats. As an artist like Carti who is always pushing his sound further on each album, this also means working with different production.
Carti and KP, yeah. That's like Carti and Pierre. And I'm broke on the rules.
comparing him and KP Beats as the new Carti and Pierre duo, who, if you don't know, KP Beats is responsible for tracks such as Vamp Anthem, Jennifer's Body, and Different Day. And once the snippet surfaced, it was time to accept the new reality. The moment I heard Carti and KP, it's like Carti and Pierre, I knew for a fact it was over, one fan comments. In the meantime, Pierre has quietly been expanding his long list of collabs, adding new names such as Yeet, as well as a session with popular underground rapper Netspend. So, while it is also normal that two adults grow apart from each other over time as they get older, is there any chance at all that Pierre and Carti could reunite? Back in June, Pierre Bourne dropped his new album Made in Paris, but while not one of the 17 songs featured Playboi Carti, as we can see by posts such as this one on Twitter, asking if they have any purple YVL hats available, which is Carti's young vamp life, or this repost on his story wanting to get the trio back together. Clearly, if it were up to Pierre, I think he'd be working with Carti as we speak. However, despite having played key roles in each other's careers, now it's just a question if Playboi Carti will answer his phone.
W video, bro. W fucking video. Pierre, man, you doing good for yourself. Not gonna lie. Carti, call Pierre and let him outside so he can cook some beats for you, man. Y'all was cooking some history. History. Oh, God.